I've been living the van life for a while now, but last night, some kids knocked on my window. They wanted me to let them in. I travel alone. I document it. My channel isn't big yet, maybe 12,000 subscribers, but I post regularly, off-grid campsites, van conversions, solo travel tips, that kind of thing. I stay out of cities, and I stay off well-worn paths. The further I am from people, the safer I feel. Or I guess I should be saying, the safer I used to feel. Tonight, I'm parked off a forest road in Idaho, miles from the nearest town. It's the kind of place where, if you screamed, no one would hear you. That's one of my go-to videos, by the way. A big scream, loud as I can, and then just the silence afterward. Basically, the place was perfect, until the knock came. A single, soft knock. Not on the door. On the window. I froze. It was just after 1 a.m. The woods were silent, no wind, no animal noises. My van is unmarked. I never advertise I'm a woman traveling alone, and I always wait and post my videos a week after I leave the spot, just to make sure no one catches on to where I'm parked. So how did someone find me, let alone creep up without setting off the motion lights? Another knock. Light. Insistent. There was no way this could be anything good, right? My heart was racing, my stomach already twisted into knots, muscles pulled tight. I reached for my phone. My stupid fingers fumbled it, and it hit the floor mat. The thump seemed thunder loud, and when I sat back up, I nearly screamed. A child's face was pressed against the window. Pale skin, dark hair, wide, staring eyes. But something was wrong. The glass reflected weird, but there was no shine in the kid's pupils. Just black. Completely black. I choked on my breath. Every instinct in me screamed wrong, wrong, wrong. Why was there a child out here? I was so far away from any of the main roads. It wasn't the kind of place children would be. The kid didn't move. Didn't blink. Then, another knock. My head snapped toward the sounds, and my stomach dropped. There was a second one. A little girl this time, standing by my back doors. Same dark hair. Same vacant, black stare. I don't scare easy. I've slept in parking lots where guys tried breaking into my van. I've camped in places where the only sounds were coyotes circling. I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but I'm also not just starting out. But this was something else. I kept my hand low, fumbling for my knife while trying to keep my breathing steady. That sounds bad. These were just kids, right? But you don't understand. There was something wrong with them. The boy at the window finally spoke. Let us in. 3 words. No emotion. No inflection. Just a flat, empty demand. I shook my head. It made all my hair stand on end. He spoke again, more persistent this time. Let us in. The girl knocked again, harder. I heard it rattle the doors. It was a childish response, but I grabbed my blanket and pulled it up over my shoulders, cowering beneath the heavy cotton like it was a shield. I clutched my knife so tightly, it made my knuckles ache. I don't know how long I sat there, too afraid to breathe. I knew that if I opened the door, I wouldn't be able to close it again. Suddenly, they stepped back. The dark of night engulfed the windows again. I barely had time to process that relief before a new sound nearly made me scream, a tap on the driver's side. I whipped around. There was a third child, a new one. This kid was a little taller. He was maybe 12 at the oldest, standing inches from my driver's side door. Unlike the other two, he was grinning. The handle jerked, but I kept my doors closed so it didn't open. The grin widened. Let us in. The same 3 words again. It wasn't a question, it was a demand. I don't remember grabbing my keys, but suddenly they were in my hand. I flipped the ignition. The dashboard lit up. My heart slammed. If I had to, I'd run them over. But the engine didn't start. I turned the key again. Nothing. Nothing. The battery was fine. The gas was full. It had started just fine this afternoon. But right now, the van wasn't starting. And the kids, they were still standing there. Staring. Smiling. I reached for my phone, fingers shaking. No service. Then the tapping started again. Every window. Every door. A slow, measured rhythm. Knock. 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 I must have blacked out at some point, because the next thing I knew, the van was filled with light. Sunlight. I woke up still clutching my knife. My doors were locked. My keys were still in the ignition. My phone was in my lap, battery at 23%. I risked a glance outside, but there was no sign of the kids. I opened the driver's side door, heart hammering. The air smelled like damp earth, pine. A beautiful, misty morning. My tires were untouched. There were no footprints in the loamy soil. It was like they'd never been there at all. But they were. I know they were, and I know they're still out there too, because my van still won't start. A scene of dusk descending over the Idaho forest, with the deep red light of sunset being swallowed by the encroaching darkness from towering pine trees. The van sits motionless, a thin layer of mist clinging to its windows, reflecting a faint glow from inside, where the woman huddles, clutching her keys, her eyes fixed on the window as if anticipating something. In the distance, among the hazy tree trunks shrouded in shadow, 3 small figures flicker into view and then vanish, leaving an eerie void in the air. On the damp ground near the van, a tiny handprint suddenly appears, though no one is there. A faint breeze rustles through, carrying a barely audible whisper, "Let us in," so soft it could be a trick of the mind, yet chilling enough to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The question lingers, where did they go, or have they ever truly left? And I'm worried that tonight, the knock will come again,